Hey, you guys, I wanted to come on here real quick and I wanted to share this crazy story that happened to me in my nursing career. And this happened like a couple of years back. Oh my God, why was I coming off of like this contract assignment at this hospital? And so I just decided to pick up a couple of shifts through an agency, and they sent me like way out in the boondocks somewhere. It was 11 to 7 shift overnight, and it was in like this really huge group home, like Victorian style house, and it had like 3 levels. Well, the main level when you first walk in was where most of the patients were. And I guess it was about maybe 8 to 12 patients. They only had one RN on each shift. So I go in and I get oriented by the first RN. She was really nice, very professional. And she said, Audra, if you need anything, here's my telephone number. So I'm coming through agency, but of course, that house had a nursing supervisor. I never met the nursing supervisor, but of course, the numbers was on the wall and whatever. All I knew is that I'm to get relieved in the morning by another nurse. Now, when she oriented me, she gave me a tour of the facility, and it was a little creepy, like on the third floor, but she said we don't put patients up there on the third floor. Now, the point of what I'm trying to say is when she gave me the tour, because basically the living room is right here. Let's just say down the hall this way is the little nursing office, and it had a closed door, one of them split doors where the people come up to get the medication. Um, and then down the hall this way was like maybe two patients' bedroom and the bathroom. Then you go this way and you'll see a kitchen, you'll see a big, huge like pantry off to the side, and I think like maybe two more patients' bedrooms, right? So I go in, first night goes well. The nurse who trained me, she comes in, she relieves me the next day. I go in the next day, same thing. I said, well, this may not be that bad. I really didn't want to work night shift, but it wasn't that bad. Why do I go in on the third night? Okay. And I had used the restroom several times already. So I guess about 2 or 3 in the morning, I get up and I have to go to the bathroom like really bad. So I get up and I go and I try to open the door and I feel resistance. And I'm like, well, why would the door be, stuck? Like it's just me here. All the residents are asleep. I've already done my rounds and I like to round like at least every 2 hours. So I knew everybody was sleeping. So I was like, well, let me, you know how you do. You go get tools and, you try to figure out how to get the door open. But when I went back again, I started feeling like a resistance on the other end. So now this is becoming concerning to me. And I'm like, what's going on? And I hear somebody say, I am, I am, I am sleeping. And I'm like, what? What? I didn't even know anybody else was in the house. So I wait a few minutes and I just assumed that maybe they were using the bathroom or whatever. You really didn't know what was going on. We did have techs working there, so I'm assuming like maybe one of the techs went into the bathroom. I just didn't see them walk down the hall, whatever. Why did it take like over 20 minutes? So by this time, like my bladder's about to burst. I really got to use this bathroom. So now y'all may be thinking, well, why didn't you just go and try to find another one? And she gave me a tour of the house. That's where the bathroom is. It's nighttime. There's nowhere else for me to go, And so I'm thinking all this crazy stuff. I'm like, well, you can't go outside. Like where I was at, oh my God, would have been met by a bear or some other type of wilderness animal. I was not going outside anyway, and I definitely wasn't going to try any other unsanitary way. I got to get in this bathroom because at this point, I feel like it was past the point of being courteous, of being in the bathroom that long. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to go knock on the door, like, and tell them, like, I really got to use the restroom. Why did I knock on the door and the person got mad and they kind of cracked the door and they was like, I am sleeping. And it was this lady that opened the door that I never saw. It wasn't one of the techs, definitely wasn't a patient. And she was like, I am sleeping. And so at this point, I said, excuse me, I'm sorry. I said, good evening. My name is Audra. I said, I'm the nurse on duty. I said, but at this point, I have to ask, who are you? She said, I am the nurse to relieve you. I'm like, it's 2, 3 in the morning. What did she mean? And when she cracks the door open, I was like, I have to use the restroom. Am I able to use the restroom? Why don't you go down the hall? When she cracked the door open, y'all, guess what? There was a whole hospital bed inside of the bathroom. I'm like, what? My brain is like, how did she even get a hospital bed? And like, this is just really weird. It's getting very bizarre. Like, who is this lady? Why is she here in the middle of the night? She's saying that she's a nurse, but she's also saying she's sleeping, so um she told me to go all the way to the other side of the house. And I eventually go, and I'm looking for this other bathroom, and I find the other bathroom, you know. But in the interim of that, remember I was waiting for like 20 minutes. I went back and I text the nurse who said, if you need anything. Now, when I text anybody in the middle of the night, I'll text something like this. Hello, this is Audra. When you get this message in the morning, please respond. I just need this answer just to let them know I'm not trying to text them in the middle of the night to wake them up, but I really didn't know what else to do. I was like texting her like, is there some way that I can get into the bathroom? I think it's stuck, whatever. So now I'm just like bewildered. I don't know what's going on. So I decided to finish my work, and she was grumpy too. So the shift flips over, and next thing I know, you know, all I know is she walks into the office, and it was a very small nursing office, and she doesn't say good morning, how you doing? My name is so and so. She literally just comes over to the med cart, and then she starts basically counting the narcs. And I was like, well, excuse me, are we going to count together? You're here to relieve me for the shift, right? And she's like, yeah, well, we don't really got to count. My God, what type of nurse practice act did they follow? I was like, well, we do need to count, and I need to give you a report. You want report, right? She had on full blown clothes, looked like she was dressed to go to like for Easter or something like that, looked like she had weave in her hair, and she really just did not present as a nurse to me. She didn't have on scrubs or anything. It was just weird to me, right? So throughout the morning, the supervisor ended up texting me or calling me back. Oh, he wanted to speak to me. And I spoke to him and I was like, yeah, I said, I just wanted to, let you know, that XYZ and blah, blah, blah. He was like, what is that of concern of yours for? I said, excuse me, I'm sorry. He was like, what do you have to be concerned for? He said, I said, excuse me, but I would appreciate it if you would not elevate your voice. You know what I mean? I am an employee. He was like, that's none of your concern. You should mind your bit. You should go down to the other side of the house. You should use the bathroom down there. I'm like saying to myself, what exchange is happening here? You know what I mean? He's totally like disregarding the fact that there is a nurse, an employee in the resident's home, in the bathroom with a hospital bed in the bathroom, sleeping in the bathroom, blocking other nurses from coming to the bathroom and making them wait long periods of time while she gets dressed. And she had her flat iron in there, curling irons, everything in there. And I was just baffled. You know what I'm saying? I was baffled. And so at this point, since he's going off on me and everything, I decide, like, this is when I was still blind. I'm still thinking that my employer is going to protect me, gonna support me, at least take down this complaint. Because at this point, my brain is thinking, like, do I need to reach out to higher authorities? Somebody needs to know about this. Then in the interim, I get a text from the day nurse, like, she's a little upset, like, why are you texting me in the middle of the night? And I just apologized to her. I was like, I really didn't have anybody else to go to. And I reach out to my people. I tell them, do you know, I was scheduled there for at least a month. Do you know they canceled me? They literally, the supervisor told them, you know what I'm saying? And one of the coordinators in my office, she was like, well, Ardra's right. Like, what is she doing? Because of course, all kinds of emails were going back and forth. They made me, write, down what was the events, that happened. I'm thinking that I'm going to get this support. And she backed me up, but they canceled me. I literally got canceled. I just don't know where nursing has gone bad. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it should be a baddies nursing. I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But it seems as though everywhere I go since COVID, either it's toxic, nobody's doing the job, everybody's on cell phones all day long. Nurses are showing up in regular clothes, even though the dress code is clearly scrubs. Nurses don't care about counting narcotics. The count is off. Nobody cares. People don't speak to you. They don't say hello, good morning, how you doing? There's no support. Upper management has usually just left the building, and it's just a whole heaping hot ratchet mess. Hospital bed in the bathroom, y'all. That's it. I just had to tell y'all that. I don't even understand. If anybody can explain to me how did that just unfold, please, please help me out here. Please. Y'all have a good one. Goodbye.